My name is Annie Grossman, and I'm a dog trainer. I'm the owner and co-founder of School for the Dogs, a dog training center located in Manhattan's East Village.
School for the dogs, for the dogs. School for the dogs, for the dogs.
On this podcast, I talk about dog training, interview industry experts, discuss pet trends, answer questions, and try to communicate my love for all things related to behavioral science. Thanks a lot for listening. I think this podcast will help make you the best possible human best friend any dog could ask for. I am in a position where I have a lot of friends, colleagues, employees who are amazing dog trainers and really smart, interesting people. And I have tried to get them to come on the podcast, and I've had a lot of trouble doing so. Now, I don't think that's because they don't like me or they don't like the podcast. I think it's because not everyone is as comfortable talking publicly about, things in general, and maybe dog training in particular, in this way that you're doing when you're doing a podcast where you're sort of speaking to an unknown audience of people in what is sort of an intimate way, because we're going straight into your ears. And a lot of these people who I respect and love and have learned from are very careful people who don't necessarily have the time to put together all the notes and thoughts that they might like to have, I guess, on hand before talking to me for a recorded conversation for the podcast. And, it's something that that I think is both a blessing and a curse in my person. Is I think I generally lay out the things that I'm thinking. I am not a big plan aheader. I am rather impulsive, and I think all of these qualities make it possible to produce a podcast. But also, like I talked about last episode, it can leave me feeling rather vulnerable, because I know that I am being very honest about my thoughts and feelings about things, and not everyone is going to agree with me. But I believe often in not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. One thing that my dad used to say that I've really taken to heart in my work life is that sometimes you gotta dare to be lousy, because otherwise it's hard to, especially when you're doing anything remotely creative, it can be hard to produce anything at all. So I'm saying all of this because I have found this is not the first time that I've kind of found I've had to trick someone into being on the podcast by not planning ahead with them. Today, I interviewed, or for today's podcast, I'm sharing with you an interview, or really more of just a conversation I had with my longtime business partner, School for the Dogs' co-founder, Kate Senisi. We were driving home from a wedding we attended over the weekend, and trapped in a car together, she agreed to let me record what we talked about. And I think Kate is just so smart and wonderful. I can't say enough good things about her. We have developed really, I think, an amazing partnership. I truly think of her and my husband in different ways as these wonderful partners in my life that have helped me I don't know, be a better person. And Kate is a very careful person. You will hear that in this conversation. I'm like loud and all over the place, and she's much more thoughtful and even-tempered, and it's one of the many things I love about her. So yeah, this is our candid car conversation. I have one clip that's in this episode that I actually played also in the last episode, so feel free to skip through that part if you listened to the last episode. And I hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening. All right, I'm calling this episode Candid Questions with Kate Senisi. While driving. And I have Kate trapped in a car, and I am impromptu interviewing her.
There's nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go.
All right, what are the questions? Your burning questions.
In the last episode, I recalled the time that we went and talked to that woman in Brooklyn at the dog daycare about whether or not we could teach there. Do you remember?
Oh.
What is your...
Was that Williamsburg?
Yeah, we went to Williamsburg. What's your memory of that event?
Oh, my memory was that we sat down and spoke to this person for a couple of minutes and quickly realized it probably wasn't going to be the space for us to teach.
I remember we gave her like
and
a whole
I think we walked out.
presentation.
No, I don't remember that.
Do you remember why we walked out?
Yeah, because she seemed committed to using calm energy to control dogs for the daycare and didn't seem open to, I guess, reward-based training, or I don't know.
Do you remember her being like, everything I've learned about dog training I've learned from watching The Dog Whisperer?
I don't remember that specifically, but
It sounds about right.
yeah, I would believe that. She wouldn't have been the first person to say that.
What'd you say?
She wouldn't have been the first person that I've heard say that.
And do you remember that, like, I stood up and walked out and you, like, followed me? Like,
Yeah. I do.
Was that terrible that I did that?
No, I mean, I think maybe, well, nowadays we might not have even been in that situation.
We wouldn't, nowadays we would not be in that situation.
But if we were, I don't know, I might have stayed and just, like, tried to talk a little bit more.
I don't think walking out the way I did was the right thing to do, but between that and, like, losing my cool was probably the better thing to do.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about, though, is, like, we've all got to get better about not losing our cool if we want to start to, like, open a dialogue with, well, people who have different understandings of behavior.
So I told you, I told you Cesar Millan has a new show, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that until you told me.
Does it happen that people say, oh, you're a dog trainer like Cesar Millan?
Less now. It used to happen more frequently.
Well, it might happen more now that he has a new show, but
Maybe.
do you think it happens less because people think less about Cesar Millan, or do you think it happens less because people know you better?
I don't know. I just know that I haven't heard that line in a while. And actually, one time I mentioned something about saying, like, wow, I'm surprised you didn't bring up the dog whisperer to a particular group of people. And they were like, who's that? And I was like, wow, never mind.
Wow, were
So
they
maybe
much younger than us?
our age.
Really?
It would have beeped just now, but we're recording this. So.
Did they grow up in Did they grow up under rocks?
No, I just don't think they watch National Geographic channel.
Yeah, but I feel like he's beyond just like a person on a channel in so many ways. But maybe they just
hadn't heard of it.
I don't know. Well, so how would you compare the training that you do with the training that Cesar Millan is best known for? If somebody knowing nothing about dog training said, "Oh, are you a dog trainer like the Dog Whisperer?"
Yeah, I just say it boils down to motivation. So what are you using to motivate the animal? Is it, I want you to not do this because you're afraid of this happening? Or is it that you're going to do this because you would like for something good or something pleasant to happen? You can certainly motivate using fear and intimidation. It works. It can backfire sometimes, but generally it works. I'm putting that in air quotes. But there are just so many unpredictable side effects that it just seems risky, especially with what we know about behavioral fallout, behavioral suppression. It seems risky to go that route when there's a much more sustainable and, I guess, kinder way.
You know, there's two things I've been thinking about in terms of Cesar Millan. One is one thing that when I recorded this podcast the other day, this episode of like me in a room by myself thinking about all the ways that I don't like Cesar Millan. But
did you post that one yet?
Yeah, I posted it. And but at the end of the episode, I was like, I feel really vulnerable because I feel like it's saying something. It's saying something that like so many people just take for granted that he's a genius, and people love him. And I think it's partially because he has this like underdog way about him that it makes him lovable, and people like succeeding at punishment in the short term at least can be quite reinforcing because it makes you feel like you're in control and it makes you feel powerful. And watching someone else do that as well, but I also don't think most people don't think about punishment and reinforcement the way that you and I think about it. And one thing though I meant to say that I didn't say is I think before I knew anything about Cesar Millan, if someone had just pointed out to me, like, look, the techniques that we can use to train dogs can also be used to train, like, dolphins. And nobody ever suggests you need to change your energy and be a more authoritative, calm person in order to train a dolphin, right? We take for granted that there are techniques to get dolphins to do synchronized swimming, and that's what I think is so compelling about, the work that we do can be used with any animal, and you wouldn't expect the things that he's saying you need to do in order to train dogs to be used with any animal, because you know what I'm saying?
It work to control a dolphin with your body,
with your calm energy and assertive voice,
your hands
or with your hands or with your tools. No, or chickens,
but that's
right?
That's why dogs are special. And that's why people think that they're the exception to this rule, because they generally do want to please humans, right? So,
we don't know what they want, but we can assume.
If you've worked with other species and you've worked with a dog, generally dogs tend to be
interested in us, right?
More biddable and more,
More what?
More biddable. Like, just...
Biddable?
Is that a word? Biddable? Like, will you do my bidding? Yes, I am biddable.
Oh. Right, well, partially because we've trained them to work with us.
Well, even a dog, I guess that's...
We've trained them to...
We've domesticated
I guess what I mean is, like, for if you think about, like, working dogs, for example, have been bred for a specific purpose and a specific quality, and part of that is devotedness to us. But then the other thing I keep thinking about is carrots and sticks, like, and especially in the media with everything that's been going on about, should vaccines be mandated? I feel like I keep hearing people talking about, you can use sticks or you can use carrots, and what they mean is like you could pay someone to, it's negative reinforcement versus positive reinforcement, right? Like you could say, hey, you can't go into restaurants without a vaccine, and you can't do this and you can't do that a vaccine. Like encourage behavior by threatening that you're going to take away access to, obviously it's beyond restaurants. If you want your job, you have to get a vaccine in some cases, and versus, hey, we'll give you $100 if you get a vaccine, right? And the thing about, using punishment or negative reinforcement versus using positive reinforcement is like nothing endears you to the person who is forcing you to do something or wielding punishment. Like nothing makes you want to be around that person, except that dogs are just so freaking forgiving, forgiving that we can do that a lot, and it still feels like they love us. They let it slide. They let it slide, right?
Yeah.
If you use punishment on a chicken, but you also want to spend a lot of time in like close proximity to that chicken, you might get rid of the I don't know why I'm using chickens as an example, but an animal that you can't physically, I guess you can physically control a chicken, but like,
how about a cow?
A cow? I don't know. I've never done any cow training. I've done some chicken training.
I've never done cow training either, but they seem like kind of slow moving and maybe a little bit difficult to motivate, but I don't know.
Well, if you want an animal who essentially is going to be like literally in close proximity to you a lot of the time and looking to you for food, shelter, direction, enrichment, etc. Like if you want an animal with who is basically like not there by any choice of their own, generally speaking, right? Like we put dogs into homes. They don't, they're forced into their position as dogs, and as our like little captured, captured animals. Like we want them to feel good about being around us, and as soon as you start using force and punishment, it can make one feel not so psyched to be around the person who is supposedly the caretaker. Anyway.
Right, I agree. And just going back to feeling vulnerable about talking about Cesar Millan, I think it's much bigger than that, and maybe the focus should just be like type of training, this type of training versus this type of training, right? Pros and cons, because he's just one person.
But sometimes I feel like that type of training that we're talking about, the type of training that talks about these, using energy.
It goes by many different
Well,
names.
if you call it energy, which is a word that he's always using, it's not like a measurable kind of energy, right? It's not something that you can quantify.
Honestly, I don't know what he's up to nowadays. I really haven't.
Well,
Did he put out a new book even?
I am not totally up on him, but I did watch the trailer for this show, and I listened to an interview that he did, which I can share with you. And I also shared you just listen to the podcast episode rather than me telling you everything I shared. I shared the you want to hear the stuff I did shared?
Yeah.
It's only going to take a couple minutes. Okay.
Hi, I'm Cesar Millan, and here are 10 reasons to get excited for my brand new show, Better Human, Better Dog. Dogs are mirrors of our expectations. Right now, I want you to take a look at Mr. Lorenzo. We're gonna go for a walk with the chickens and the dogs. Girl, you are all over the place. The most powerful sense a dog has is his nose. You'll guide the nose and the dog will follow.
Hey, no.
Yes. Gonna work on the fixation, but that's why it's so important for you guys to also fix your energy. That's the perfect state of mind. Come on. Hey! This is the way you celebrate with a Winnie dog. Yeah!
She's doing great.
You're doing great.
So yeah, I know you were driving, so you couldn't see that, but there. I mean, you could hear it. I don't know. I don't know what you can tell from.
I could hear it.
What?
Yeah, I could hear it.
You could hear it. There's a part you didn't see where he dresses up like a hot dog. And then there's a part where he's doing some dance moves he looks pretty good actually.
Nice.
And then there's parts where he's, it seems like it's kind of like, but that's part of what bugs me. You were just saying that there's nothing wrong with trying to make people better in addition to making the dogs better, and that seems like what the gist of it is.
It seems like it. Better people, better dogs. Did I see that on the screen or something? Or did I make that up? Is that the line?
No. The show is called Better Human, Better Dog.
Better Human, Better Dog. Yeah.
Well, doesn't it seem like a long path to take though for solving a lot of the problems that we deal with, like having to change stuff about the human? I mean, it's not like, what I would like to have a show on, like.
Well, you do have to change as a human.
You have to change as a human, but I would like a show that's like, hey, here's what we can do to help your dog by using what we know about behavior and dog behavior specifically, but how we can, change behavior with positive reinforcement or else
complicated and TV
and but I'm saying, and that's what you could and hey, look, we changed the situation with your dog. Let's look at how we can change the situation in your life using what we've learned, rather than what this, like, that would be to me like what a Better Human, Better Dog show, something with that title could be called, be like Smarter Dog, Better Human. But
TV is pop culture, and they oversimplify pretty much everything.
Right, but I think that could be oversimplified in its own direction. But to me, like, this is the direction of, like, in order for you to help your dog, you first need to help yourself. And I get what's sort of sticky about that, but it annoys me because I think, like, yesterday we were talking, and you were talking about how, I think it was yesterday, like how you need to make things as simple as possible for a client, but you want to make it as simple as possible for them to help their dog. And I don't think, like, trying to do who you are as a person, I mean, even if it's something as...
Why do you think that's what he's doing? I don't know.
Yeah, because I think it's all about, like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's about, like, becoming a more positive person yourself, I don't think he uses the word domineering, but, like, more confident and, I don't know. But here, listen to this other. Listen to this other clip where he talks more.
Let me say something.
Okay.
Talking about energy. That's what I was trying to say. This phrase energy that keeps getting bounced around, that's an oversimplification. Like, yes, sure, your body language, which I think is what people are referring to when they say your energy around a dog, is important, and it can be very useful to examine that and potentially change something about your body language depending on what's going on. But again, it's an oversimplification. Yeah, it's one piece of the puzzle.
But couldn't you fake that? I mean, somebody who's I mean, God, I know dog trainers who are, like, insecure people who, are on lots of medications and have a lot of, I don't know, like, life problems.
Dogs?
No, just generally insecure people who, like, probably would benefit from, I don't know, like meditation and a yoga practice or whatever, who are good at who we can teach those people how to train a dog. It's because it's, you can train a dog that's in a different room from you. You don't. It's not necessarily all about what you're doing with your body. mean,
I
can't
don't
you
know.
think of
I
a
feel like
million?
you're
Can't you
getting
think of?
stuck on the wrong part? I'm more concerned that this type of training is A, too simplistic, and B, encouraging people to physically challenge or confront their dogs, which can go very wrong and can be dangerous. That's what I'm more concerned about, personally.
Well, I think that's
part of, like, you need to improve yourself. Like, okay, great. I don't know. That doesn't rub me the wrong way.
To me, I agree with you about the stuff that annoys you, but also among the things that annoys me is that way of going about it, because it seems like self-help to help a dog, doing human self-help in order to help the dog in the way that he's suggesting, like deep breathing, basically, I feel like is a long route. When there are so many, as a dog trainer, I mean, think about all the situations that have nothing to do with people. Like, think about all the training issues, for instance. You know, you can move
a training issue that has nothing to do with people. Like a behavior issue. That's
like a dog who's stressed out about being on the streets of New York City, okay? Which is many dogs, right? Now, like, you know, Ginger is a dog who, and I've talked about Ginger before. Ginger, you know, with Anna and Alan, like, I don't think Ginger pays attention to Alan and Anna because of their confident body language as much as, like, they have figured out, you know what, like, she's happier when we don't have her out on the New York City streets, so let's minimize how much she has to be out on the city streets. Like, to me, there's some dog training that's like that. The dog that's freaking out about living in New York City with people who can go live with people somewhere where there's more space, for example.
That isn't really training, though. That's just
but it's a changing of behavior. The dog's behavior is going to be changed based on the environment that you put the dog in, right?
Right, but it's not going to be changed in the city.
No, but you're
it's avoidance of the city, urban anxiety. I'm not saying it's not valid. I'm just saying it's not training the dog to be better about the city. It's just avoiding the trigger or minimizing the trigger.
I think of it, I mean, I know what you mean. It's not part of, like, if you define training as teaching a dog to feel and behave differently. But I feel like as a dog trainer, sometimes that is the answer. Don't you feel like that? For, like, how can I be happier and live a happier life? How can I give this dog a life that's happier than the life I'm giving him?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes that's rehoming the dog, or in Anna and Alan's case, they didn't not rehome the dog, but when they are in New York City with the dog, they have figured out how to arrange the environment in a way that's going to help the dog, you know, be super happy, as opposed to,
but that will be up to the client and the dog.
But with Ginger, for example, do you think? I mean, Anna's an excellent trainer. Do you fault Anna for not training Ginger to walk outside?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's up to the trainer or the guardian or the client, right, and their dog. If that is fine with them, then that's a fine solution. There are some clients who would say, no, I want to continue with counter conditioning and desensitizing my dog to being outside for certain amounts of time. And then in that case, that wouldn't be the resolution that they would want.
Well, for a dog like Ginger, I think that could not be done probably without medication.
Right. Well, then that's a separate topic. And then that's a whole other can of worms to get into.
Okay, that's true. It's a whole other can of worms. Let's stick with the can of worms that we already opened. You're absolutely right. See, this is why.
Like, so combative on these things. My God, I can't get a word in edgewise.
I'm sorry.
Are you getting heated about Cesar Millan?
Yes.
Why? What is it about it that bugs you so much?
That's what I'm trying to express on this podcast episode, Kate. No. I mean, do I wish I had as much money as he did? I guess, yeah, sure.
Is he rich?
I would buy a nice house in the suburbs.
I didn't know he was rich.
You didn't know he was rich?
No. I don't really pay that much attention to him, or I don't know. I guess whatever's going on with him.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at his checkbook, but I think he's doing pretty well.
Okay.
Like, I mean, he has a dog psychology center on many acres of land in California, and we don't. I mean, so am I jealous of that? Like, do I wish we could afford to have like some massive facility where we could have people come and stay with us overnight with their dogs, so that we could help them and their dogs as much as possible and solve problems and do fun stuff? I guess I'm jealous. I'd like that. Wouldn't you like that?
I guess so. I'm pretty happy where we are.
I know. Well, I'm not saying that we don't have our own space and our own amazing thing. We do. I'm just saying, like, it would be cool if we could add, if it was like huge, which I guess is something he has. But it's not about jealous. No, I know. I feel annoyed. I feel like the stuff that he is all about is like if you and I were devoting our lives to evolution and to I don't know, studying the work of Darwin and helping people understand that, and then like the most popular show on TV was like about, or the thing most synonymous with the thing that we are studying was all about creationism. Like, wouldn't that be kind of frustrating?
I mean,
that's how I think of it.
That's the story of television, though, right? I can't think of.
Okay, well, I'm not. I guess you're like stuck on the medium. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I'm not stuck. I don't care about the medium. I mean, it's not about television. It's my podcast. I can interrupt.
You can just talk.
It's my car.
Rant to yourself, then.
All right, I'll shut up. I promise. Okay, you go.
What am I supposed to be commenting on? I just think if we're talking about methodology, which I think seems more fruitful to me than talking about one person's. I get that he has a wide reach, but it seems more fruitful to talk about methodology. We're talking about resolving behavior conditions like regression, anxiety, right? Those are the big things that people, it's not really about like, oh, I can teach a dog to nose target. I think pretty much every trainer would agree they would use positive reinforcement to train hand targeting, right? Nose targeting. The bottom line is like, it's not easy to resolve these behavior conditions, right? So anybody who's saying like, I've got this magic bullet, or you can send your dog to me for a week, or I can fix this in 3 hours. Just be wary. So it's probably not going to happen, and the fallout of what that person might do could be something that lasts forever, could make the behavior much, much worse, could make your dog more dangerous. Hold on, the GPS is talking. I forgot, I lost my train of thought now. Oh, it's not easy. I mean, just, look at humans and look at human behavior conditions, right? People go to therapy for years. Maybe they take behavior medications for years for things like anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, right? So we know it's complicated. We know it takes time, unfortunately. So if you're working with a behavior consultant or someone who knows what they're doing, they're going to be honest with you about that. It doesn't mean you can't be done. It's not possible really to solve complex behavior problems in 3 hours or a day, or even like sending a dog away for a week. It still even has to be maintained.
But what if you as a trainer change your energy?
I mean, based on what I just said, what do you think?
I'm asking the question.
Yeah, no, I don't think that can solve a complicated behavior problem. Maybe it's one component in a particular case. Maybe like teaching a human good leash handling skills will help with the way that their dog reacts when they're walking them, or doesn't react, for sure. But it's one component, many components.
Does energy relate to leash handling? Do you need good energy in order to have good leash handling skills?
I don't know what good energy is. I guess you need to define that, or Cesar Millan needs to define what energy is. Is it my vibe? Is it my body language? Is it what's going on in my brain? Can you look at me and see an aura? People do that, right? They look at you and they're like, this is your aura, this is your energy. I don't really know how to define or measure that, so I don't know how to answer that question.
I want to play you this other clip because I think he talks a little bit more about what energy is. Hold on.
Great.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How's New York?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
So congratulations on your new show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, Better Human, Better Dog. How would you say this series maybe differs from Dog Whisperer, which a lot of people remember you from?
Well, Dog Whisperer, I used to go to people's home, and now people are coming to my land, my dog psychology center, 43 acres of magic. And so I have my own area where I can help people immediately practice, all the activities, stretch, walk, run, rest. And sometimes they sleep. They do stay at the ranch because I want to make sure that as soon as they wake up, they learn about the formula, the rituals, and the symbols. So I now have a place where people can stay over. And so they can submerge themselves in my philosophy, and with my community and with my animals. And so people just learn, how do I do things? Why my energy is always a certain way, calm, confident, love, and joy. Why I always practice exercise, then mental stimulation, then affection. Why I follow that formula. So I bring in people into my land now with my community and my animals and my family. So it's going to be completely different. It's like when people go to India, they go over there so they can practice that. So people come into my ranch to submerge themselves and just to be free.
So what kind of issues are most coming to your ranch? Is there one in particular that seems to plague people?
Well, I'm known to be the guy who can help you with aggression. I know I am known. It's only 3, side effects a dog can develop. It's aggression, fear, or ignoring you. Ignoring you is like, oh, my dog doesn't listen to me. He runs through the streets and chases the squirrels and things like that. That's dangerous to the dog, and annoying to the human. But definitely the aggression is definitely a behavior that is dangerous to society. So the first episode, we're dealing with a dog named Goliath that his owner has, neurological problems such as seizures. And so when the paramedics come to him, Goliath becomes overprotective, rightfully so, and so we are going to we turn that dog into a dog that can not be able to, help his human into a service dog. So now Goliath, the pit bull, who was showing signs of aggression, we turn him into a paramedic.
Wow. Do you feel that any dog can be rehabilitated into a good pet, or are there some that are just, even you find that you can't help?
No, many times it's not if the dog can't change. Many times is if the human is willing to do the work. And the truth is, many times the energy of the human is too soft for the dog, so it's not compatible. So many people rescue a dog for the wrong reasons. And that's why it's very important for people to understand energy. Most of the friends that you have are compatible to you. That's why you get along. And sometimes family members, you're not compatible. So you don't get along with them. You see it? So that energetic understanding is very important. So you never have to worry about, can I ever change the dog? Because your energy, just by being a little stronger than the dog, automatically gives the dog a sense of direction. So your energy have to be calm, confident, in order for the dog to share calm, open-minded.
And what do you hope people can take away from watching your show?
Oh my God, fully understanding that we don't have problems with Mother Nature, in this case with a dog. The formula how to achieve happiness with a dog is learning how to connect, learning how to communicate, learning how to achieve the relationship that we're all looking for, which is trust, respect, and love. Imagine a world full of trust, respect, and love. We will be super positive. We'll be a better planet. That's why I'm saying better human, better dog, because the human needs to achieve this calm, comfort, love, and joy. The human needs to achieve trust, respect, and love. The human needs to do exercise, discipline, affection, body, mind, heart. So once you accomplish that, and then you can go to the Olympics. You see what I mean? That only the people that prepare themselves to be, positive, calm, confident, faith, and all of that, they go to the Olympics. So also, those are the better humans, right, to represent in the Olympics. So in this case, how you become a better human is just about your energy becoming calm, comfort, love, and joy, regardless if you don't have money, right? Because this is not about money, fame, and power. Animals don't care about money, fame, and power. Animals can live with homeless people. Animals can live with handicapped people. Animals can live in the jungle of the Amazon. So it's not about, the wealth that we humans think we must have to have a dog. Because a lot of people say, oh, I don't have a house. But homeless people don't have a house. Oh, I don't have a big backyard. It doesn't matter. That's not what makes a dog happy. What makes a dog happy is you know how to connect, communicate, and have a natural, simple, profound relationship.
Okay, tell me your thoughts.
I just said he's changing, it sounds like, his sort of phrasing and I guess catchphrases like
calm, confident, love, and joy.
Well, like relationship-based training. Like you could make a case like that's what the kind of training we do too. So I don't know. I think the tide is shifting. I think people are starting to recognize that there are better and more sustainable ways to work with dogs that have behavior problems, and that's why I think a lot of trainers who have called themselves balanced or aversive or whatever we might label them as aversive, I think they're changing their marketing verbiage and language to reflect, I guess, what is maybe a more savvy client. Although then that makes it a little more difficult for the prospective client to figure out what kind of methods people are going to use. But I don't know. I think it shows that the tide is changing a little bit, which is a good thing.
But you said the word mumbo jumbo before that.
The phrase mumbo jumbo.
You're right. Mumbo jumbo's probably not a word. What did you mean by that?
I don't want to speak ill of another person. I think that's his jam. That's fine. I get it. I don't know that there was a lot of really particularly helpful, salient amount of details in there that somebody could really take away and implement.
There are not a lot of action steps.
Right.
That's how I think of it, right?
Well, that's why I said mumbo jumbo.
Well, if I tell you, you need to be a more calm, confident, love, and joyful person,
Well, what is step one? I don't know.
I
think if we're looking at the silver lining, it's that relationship-based training is being more widely adopted. And hopefully that means that alpha rolling and these old school confrontational techniques are starting to go away, because I don't know how you could possibly argue that alpha rolling a dog or zapping them with your fingers is relation based and is going to encourage trust between human and dog, right? So I would hope that means that he's not doing at least the confrontational techniques anymore, although I'm not sure.
I don't know either. I haven't seen the show. But relationship isn't necessarily a good relationship. I mean, you can have a relationship with a parent who spanked you.
Yeah, but I would bet that by saying relationship-based training, that's probably leaning towards developing a bond with trust, and so it's implied that it's meant to be a good relationship. But you're right, it's not good relationship-based training.
I've had plenty of bad relationships. A relationship, it's a funny euphemism because relationships are not necessarily good. But he also, in the other clip I played, you see these people yelling no, no, no at their dog.
Yeah, well, some people would argue that's effective communication. So, I don't know.
Well, I would say it's effective if you only have to do it once. If you're having to yell no, no, no at your dog all the time.
And this is where the nuanced educational background comes into play, where you can explain that to a client, right? If you understand learning theory. I mean, it's not really that nuanced, but
I hear mumbo jumbo because I'm like, yes, of course, Amazon, like animals can live in the Amazon. You know?
Right. I don't know what that really has to do with anything.
And then he's talking about homeless people. I don't understand that part. Like,
homeless people can have dogs too, and they do.
Oh, is that what he's saying?
I think so. Yeah.
And that they can have dogs who can listen to them.
Yeah.
So you can be a homeless person, but be.
I've seen some really well-adjusted dogs living with people on the street.
Oh no, I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
At all. I don't doubt that at all. I'm just trying to understand what the point is when he's saying that in the same breath as like there are animals in the Amazon.
I think you should interview him for this podcast. You can ask him these questions yourself.
I mean, I don't know if he'll come on. Maybe I should ask.
I would ask. It could be a learning moment, maybe for you and him. If we do want to change other people's minds, it has to start with some kind of like outreach, right? And just a discussion.
What would you if you could interview him and ask one question, what would that question be?
I don't know. I would have to think about that. I don't have one at the top of my head. I mean, I guess I would just ask if he's still using confrontational techniques like alpha rolling, pinning, and using like the bite thing, where you like take your fingers and like jab a dog in the neck. I would just want to know if he's using those techniques, and if so, then I don't know. Maybe then I'd have a follow-up question.
And if he said yes, what would your follow-up question be?
I don't know. I haven't gotten that far.
Well, I think he. The other clip I played in the episode I did, which I won't force you to listen to, is the interview he did years ago with Alan Tishmark, where he taught, and Alan Tishmark says like, well, you use shock collars with dogs, you hit them, and he's like, no, it's not a hit, it's just a tap, and Tishmark is like, I wouldn't want to be tapped like that. Remember that video where he's kicking dogs?
No.
There was this compilation video. Actually, I think it's still on YouTube. I think I have it linked to it.
That stuff's like seriously unpopular now. I really doubt that he's still doing that. I can't imagine. It's not cool to kick dogs, guys. I mean, it never was, but...
You think so? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're in a bubble of...
No, I feel like at least
of positive reinforcement training.
People are using shock collars, so it's like at least they are not part of the equation. The dog doesn't really understand the humans holding the remote, right? But I mean, it's just like, it's ridiculous how easy it is for a dog to just immediately become afraid of someone if they're kicked, right? So I don't know how would you ever be able to establish trust and a bond with an animal if you're physically hitting or kicking them? I think that the shock collar works in the way that it works the way it does because it creates something aversive for the animal, but you're not really associated with it.
Well, you could be,
yeah, if you're not using it correctly, for sure.
Or anything could be.
Pro shock collar, by the way. I'm just saying, it's I guess a little bit better in a way than somebody kicking a dog, right? Because at least, I don't know. At least the human is maybe somewhat removed from that equation. You have at least a better chance of maybe trying to rebuild a bond that you might have damaged if you've used a piece of equipment like that, than if you had kicked your dog.
I see what you're saying. But I think there are probably a lot of people who have done and or do both. No?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I still see leash jerks a lot in my neighborhood. I wouldn't say a lot, but every once in a while, leash jerks. I hear yelling. I haven't seen anyone kick a dog, I don't think.
I know this is not about Cesar Millan, but since we're talking about controversial subjects and I still have you trapped in the car.
God.
How would you deal with explaining to somebody the problems about electric fences?
problems, or you mean if a client said, I want to install an electric fence, or I have an electric fence? Like, what's the context? What do you mean?
I have a piece of land. I don't want to put up a fence, so I'm going to put up an electric fence. An invisible fence.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of
so that my dog
towns have rulings against physical fences. So for some people, that's not.
But I just don't like the aesthetic of putting up a fence, and I don't want to pay for it.
Right. Well, a physical fence will be much safer. Dogs can easily just absorb the shock and run through an electric fence. I've seen it happen before.
I've
heard of it happening.
Yeah. And the neighbor's dog is killed.
Right. If you really were to teach the dog to hear the warning beep and come back to you, let's say you use positive reinforcement to train that, I wouldn't have the biggest problem with it. But I really think what I would focus on is just that a physical fence is honestly much safer, and that there are other ways that you could have the dog out. Like, you could have the dog on a tie out. A dog should, in my opinion, be supervised anyway when they're outside. If they're outside, running the fence line all day, stalking prey, they're doing things that you have no control over, and you are much, much less valuable in their world than all of those stimuli that they're paying attention to outside. So it's also a training issue. If you want, your dog to be compliant or deferential or look to you, you want to have control over things in the environment. So you don't want them sitting out there doing that all day. So if it's supervised, then, what's the argument against, a tie out or a long leash or some other way that they can be free without being confined by a fence?
How do you think it's possible that an electric fence can cause a dog to be triggered by
of course,
unusual things in the environment, or people coming into the home, or cause the dog to bark incessantly?
That's the risk, right? We don't know. For some dogs, they may live with an electric fence for 5 years and have no behavior problems. Other dogs, sometimes we learn, and it's pretty clear that the problem was exacerbated or potentially even created by the association of being shocked or feeling pain with the appearance of a stimuli.
Yeah, and that's part of what's scary to me about it, is you don't know what stimuli your dog is associating with that shock.
It's a huge risk. That's all I'll say.
And it could make something like barking worse, because, you might not even know the stimuli, because, it's possible your dog heard something that you couldn't hear, a dog barking far off that you couldn't hear at the same time that the dog got shocked.
Right. Yeah.
Or the UPS man coming in.
All kinds of associations that...
Or a child running by.
Could come by, yeah, that we could come up with.
You wouldn't explain that to someone, though, if they were asking about shock collars and getting an electric fence, an invisible fence?
I would probably start with the safety thing, and then if they were still stuck on that, I'd get into the association thing, yeah. Right, it depends on the client, and it depends on how much time I want to spend talking to them about this. And if they're already pretty much bought into reward-based training, and I can just explain the safety issue to them, I would probably start there, right? We talked about this yesterday. It's amount of information in my head. I can never disseminate all that information in an hour or an hour and a half, right? So I have to really pick and choose and start with what I think might be the easiest way to get someone to either do or not do something. And then if I still need additional support, I can, think of all the other reasons why it might be important not to do something or to do something.
And, well, to go back to Cesar Millan and my beef that is less beefy to you is that I don't feel like he's giving clear instructions on how to actually improve your energy and be a better person.
So that's what it is. So we've gotten to the bottom of it.
If he was...
It only took us an hour.
Well, yeah, he's not disseminating things into...
clear, concise action items or steps. Yeah. So maybe that's your interview right there is step 1. What do I do to become a calm, assertive, or whatever his catchphrase, calm, assertive
I don't know, in that clip he keeps talking about calm, confidence, love, and joy. He has these like clumps of words that he says together like that, like I guess they're like his taglines.
Yeah.
There was another thing he kept saying in that bit. But I know calm, confident, love, and joy.
It's catchy.
Well, I mean, like, I think our training can help people be more calm and confident and have more love and joy in their life. I would just never, like, say those words to try and sell people on.
Well, maybe that's why he's a millionaire.
Yeah, right. Maybe
we
if
need some better catchphrases.
Do we have any catchphrases?
No.
Eat your homework.
Train with your brain. I've heard that one before. That's
train without pain, using your brain.
Yeah, I definitely someone else came up with that.
Me.
I'm not taking credit for that.
I think it was me.
Really?
No.
I don't know.
Train without pain. Train without pain, using your brain.
How about just train using your brain?
Train brain. That was when we first put up flyers 10 years ago. It's our 10th anniversary, Kate.
That's what we should be talking about.
Our 10th anniversary?
We should be celebrating, not focusing on...
Okay, well, let's celebrate. Say something celebratory.
We're here. We're about to go through the Holland Tunnel. We may lose you guys. I'm so sorry. We may have to end this podcast early.
Say something positive and nice about 10 years of School for the Dogs, of putting up with me.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be about me.
I think for both of us, we've come a long way, both in terms of like our own personal growth and development, and then also I think as a business, as partners together. And I think we have a wonderful partnership. We support each other. There are a lot of things I don't like to do that you love to do, which makes me very happy, and I believe vice versa. If I may speak for you. And I look forward to another 10 years with you. Partner.
Aww.
The nicest thing I've ever said about us?
Yes.
Possibly. It must be the after-wedding glow. The post-wedding glow.
All right. I think maybe we should end things there. I've annoyed you enough.
Okay. Well, I feel like we only talked about Cesar Millan.
Okay, well then...
Was that the point of this one?
No. No, I mean, I don't have a point.
You can just put that part at the end.
I don't have a point. Well, okay, well, let's say some other...
Ramblings.
Say some other things.
Oh, well, I can say some other things. So...
Or, I mean, you could talk about something else if you want. We could talk about meta signals. No, but you could say some other things about what you've learned or where you want things to go.
I'd like for us to really focus on, I don't know, like very urban specific dog training could be kind of our niche.
Yeah.
And it has been our niche. I just feel like dog trainers, like whenever we go anywhere else outside of New York City and look at like a dog training facility or just, talk to those trainers, it's just so different what they're doing and what they're able to do with more space. And I think one of the challenges, and I think one of the things we do best, is basically adapt training for urban dwelling dogs. And it's a whole different game.
How would you describe what they have that we don't have, or
space.
Vice versa? But like why is space important? Asks someone who knows nothing about what you do. Pretend.
So space is important because every dog, and every human has a social bubble, right? So like a bubble in which I am comfortable having things outside of the bubble, but maybe when they get in the bubble, I'm not so comfortable. And unfortunately,
like a distance.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as
not like an energetic bubble.
I see where you're going with that.
No, seriously.
No, yeah, like a threshold, right? But I think of it as like a circle around me, right? And most dogs, I don't know what the average probably like comfort level distance is. It's probably 10 feet or something from like, maybe new people, new dogs. And unfortunately, living in New York City, that's just constantly violated, right? I mean, you're within like 2 to 3 feet of people and other dogs just for pretty much most of the time you're outside with a dog. So that's one thing, is the space, and then also the saturation, so the amount of dogs, the amount of people that you encounter. If you're out with a dog, on a walk in a suburb, you may encounter like 2 or 3 other people and maybe 1 or 2 dogs. So it makes it much easier to control, your dog's distance to those different stimuli, also their response. And, there's only 2 or 3 for you to practice with, right? Versus in the city, walking around, that may be like 20 or 30 people, and then maybe like 5 dogs that you encounter on a walk. And it's just, you're constantly having to scan the environment, observe your dog, and basically work or kind of like train with your dog every time you're outside. And that's a lot for people to keep up with. And you don't have as much control over the distance, of course, at which you can, be near other people or other dogs or things in the environment.
Right. Well said. Also, it's interesting. People just can't keep up with it because what you're saying is like you have to bring your dog outside.
Yeah, unless you have a backyard. But.
You have to bring your dog outside, and it's a lot of work to make sure that they are doing all the things you want them to do behavior-wise and not doing the things you don't want them to do behavior-wise outside on the street on leash, because there's so many unknown variables. So it's like you have variables you can't control. You have the need to be really focusing the whole time and rewarding good behaviors with whatever you're using as a reward, be that going in the other direction or food or to a play or just verbal praise or whatever. And you have to be doling that out a lot.
Yep.
And you have to be figuring out what the correct reinforcer is in that situation. There's so much to consider.
Yeah, it's always changing.
And on top of that, not only can you not control the environment, but you can't control you can't control distances the same way you can control, like, in an outdoor environment in the suburbs or wherever. Maybe like if you're in a big parking lot, sure, there's still variables there you can't control, but like those variables are going to be at a greater distance.
Right. Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of using parking lots. Well, in Brooklyn we have parking lots. Manhattan, we don't really have parking lots there to use. But in where I live in Bushwick, there are quite a few parking lots, and probably, I'm sure, in other neighborhoods in Brooklyn and Queens. And those can be really helpful for like setups, for training setups, instead of just, working on the sidewalk, basically. What else do I have to say about urban dog training? I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. Also, I mean, maybe someday someone will do studies on processing auditory and visual stimuli at such a high rate and see, how that affects. I mean, realistically, I have to imagine that if you're looking around and seeing a lot of things and you're hearing a lot of things and you're navigating, like, how close you come to people and not walking into this tree, like, it's got to be pretty taxing on your brain. And I'm guessing that probably like adrenaline and cortisol levels are higher because you just there's so much going on that you have to be processing. And I wonder if that has an effect maybe on humans and on dogs, as far as just our baseline level of stress being in an urban environment or in an environment with such a large amount of stimuli. Somebody should do a study on that.
Maybe they already have.
Maybe they already have. Yeah. I feel like actually maybe there have been some studies in humans, urban dwelling humans. I don't know that there have been any for dogs yet.
Well, I'm sure also just some of that stuff has been studied in smaller slices, like how repetitive loud music or repetitive loud sounds make an animal feel versus, more calm sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you're right. I think urban living is its own. Welcome to New York, it says. And I think our Sidewalk Psychos class is pretty special.
And Stranger Danger's coming out too. That should be fun.
Do you want to explain what stranger danger is for what maybe, yeah, talk about what that class is. Maybe you can also talk about what Psychos is.
Okay, Stranger Danger is brand new. It's the first time I'm running it. It should be fun.
It's in person or online?
It's in person, of course, because we need strangers. And
Will anybody be dressed as a hot dog?
I don't think we have a hot dog uniform. No. But probably some hats, maybe some fake beards. Yeah. So Stranger Danger is a class designed for, it's only up to 4 dogs, and it's designed for dogs who either maybe bark, lunge, or growl at strangers on the street or entering their apartment. And it allows the guardians to practice techniques in a controlled environment, which then they can transfer, to the streets or in their home, their apartment, when their dog needs to be around someone that's unfamiliar. Or in some cases, even familiar people, if they're outside of the dog's social circle, they may also react this way to them. So that's that class. And I'm going to be the first stranger as the trainer. And then we'll have, I think, 2 or 3 others. Probably just working on the top of the stairs. If you haven't been to our training center, the ground floor, the biggest classroom room, there's a set of stairs going down there. And just having someone appear at halfway down the stairs will probably be a lot for most of these dogs. So we'll start there, and if we can progress to having them, come further down the stairs, we will. It'll just probably depend on who's enrolled in the class and what the dogs can handle. We'll go at their pace.
It has to be a requirement, however, for dogs to be able to be in a room with other dogs.
Correct.
No?
Although they will be in pens, so the setup will be similar to Sidewalk Psychos. They'll have some visual barriers set up. So they won't really have to be looking at the other dogs. They'll just have to be in the same room with the other dogs.
Is the class full yet?
I think so. Yeah.
Because I would love for Poppy to do that class, perhaps with Jason, but if it's full...
Did you not know that was a class?
No, I did. I just never want to sign up for things because I don't want to take spots for other people, but maybe we could stream some of it or something like that.
I'll just teach you the same skills once a week. No, you want to be in the class. Let's see. Well, maybe someone will drop out, or maybe I can squeeze 5 dogs in. Let me see who's on the roster, and if it's if it's like familiar dogs, then maybe we can squeeze a 5th in.
I just wish we could stream more classes. I think that would be cool.
That would be great. Give away our classes for free or for paid. You mean subscription?
For free or for paid. I don't know. In some manner. And how would you describe Sidewalk Psychos to someone who does not know what Sidewalk Psychos is?
That class, Sidewalk Psychos, is designed for dogs who may be overly reactive when they see another dog. So that might look like staring, barking, growling, lunging, spinning on the leash. And similar setup there. It's 4 dogs only, controlled setup, and we start with the dogs, just working on having them relax in the same room as each other, and then add in some visual contact, and then adding in the dogs are sitting and standing, looking at each other, and then walking is the final challenge there.
Inside or outside?
Level 1 is inside. Level 2, which we haven't had in a while, is outside. We're working on getting that going again. And level 2 actually is really, really a lot of fun, because not only do historically we have gone outside as well, but we talk more about greetings, facilitating greetings in the class, one-on-one potentially, maybe some play if it's appropriate, or just interactions, some other form of successful interactions between the dogs. Maybe it's just parallel walking past each other. Maybe it's mutual sniffing if they're not interested in play. Basically other ways for dogs to be close to dogs, have a good time, and not have to do the face-to-face greeting if they're not good at that. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about anything?
Oh, thanks for having me on your podcast. Probably do have more to say. I'm just driving.
Well, I mean, you're welcome to be on the podcast, like, every week.
Take exit 3, then merge onto Beach Street.
I would say you're never not welcome. It's just hard to
It's hard to coordinate our schedule.
It's hard to pin you down.
I know.
Well, maybe we just need to go road tripping more.
Merge on.
All right, I'm stopping the directions.
Okay, well, I'm stopping recording.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Merge onto Beach Street, then continue straight to stay
All
on
right,
West Broadway.
School for the dogs.
Thank you so much for listening. And special thanks to Bill and Lizzie of Toast Garden for the amazing theme song. You can find Toast Garden at youtube.com/toastgarden. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review on iTunes. You can also support us by shopping at storeforthedogs.com, and you can learn more about us at schoolforthedogs.com. You can also connect with other listeners by downloading our brand new app. Just visit schoolforthedogs.com/community.